Hello, everyone. Mike Mosquito with the Buzz Podcast. Welcome to another fabulous thought leader episode. Today, we're going to be talking to Banner Health, GuidePoint, and Torque about some topics that are hitting our industry today. Again, the Buzz is here to bring thought leadership, business, innovation, and technology together, and for you to be able to hear these episodes and enjoy them at your leisure, whether it's video or audio. Find us on any of our channels, thebuzzpodcast.net, or anywhere you like and subscribe to channels. Today, I've got this show to talk about cyber defense and AI, the Banner Health SOX Modernization Playbook. Along with Jordan from Banner, we've got GuidePoint and Torque. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here.
Thanks, Mike.
Jordan, I'm going to lead off with you. Let's introduce you to the audience. Let's tell the audience who you are and what you do for Banner Health.
Yeah. My name's Jordan Lamoureux. I'm the director of cyber defense for Banner Health. Also, I'm a chief warrant officer in the Army Reserves. Coming up on retirement of 20 years, part of the cybersecurity branch of the Army.
Very nice. Very nice. And Fareed?
Yeah, my name is Fareed Chima. I lead the field engineering team here at Torque. Been with Torque for almost 4 years now, and happy to be here.
And our GuidePoint and Arizona HIMSS connection that puts this together, Craig.
Craig George with GuidePoint, cybersecurity advisor here down in Arizona. 2 decades in healthcare, high trust, payer, healthcare systems, you name it. And I work alongside Jordan and support Banner Health down here and some of the other hospital systems.
Very nice. So we love putting these segments together because this is talking about the good things that are happening in healthcare from the voice of the actual customer using tools, technology, advisory services. So Jordan, since this segment is about how you are hitting home runs around your SOX enablement with AI, tell me, what is next gen SOX with AI? Talk to us about what's happening with Banner.
Sure. Yeah. With AI, everyone likes to assume that it is going to obviously be a job replacement. But I see this as actually being more of a force multiplier. Much like back in 2017, SOAR, security orchestration and automation was promised us that it was going to eliminate workforce, but it did become the thing. It just became another force multiplier, another tool in the toolbox for cyber defenders and SOC analysts to actually use. And it's going to be the same thing with AI, is that with proper implementation, you'll be able to increase your performance metrics and your mean time to response, because the AI will be able to bring all that contextual data to actually enrich the alerts and improve all those response times, and reduce your false positive rates. So not only does that make your SOC more efficient, but it also frees up your SOC analyst to go do more other types of more in-depth work within your cyber defense program, such as threat hunting, penetration testing, threat intel. And so it's really going to, again, be a force multiplier for your SOC and your overall security program.
So you're not bringing in AI to tell all of your security personnel, hey, guess what? You might want to brush up on your resume. We're bringing in the bots to take over the defense of the health system.
No, not at all. And I think it's been very overpromised on what it actually, on the day-to-day feasibility, can actually deliver.
Very nice. So Fareed, talk to me.
Yeah.
You work in conjunction with Craig. Craig's the whisperer and the guide to find the right technology for Jordan here. How are you playing with the new agents, and what's happening over on Torque for being able to put these new agents to task at organizations like Banner?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned, I mean, with AI, we're not replacing people, right? We're augmenting them. We're bringing them a tool for them to be able to become a lot more efficient, right?
Mhm.
It's never been about replacing people. People always need to be there. We always need to have control over what AI does. People are going to make the key decisions. What AI is going to really do is help you be more efficient in terms of correlating data together, in terms of documenting what you're doing, in terms of being able to take various sources together and correlating all that information and then presenting that evidence over to the human analysts, right? That's what Torque is doing. We're providing analysts and SOC teams with the capability to run faster and run stronger and become more of a proactive rather than reactive sort of SOC.
Very nice. Very nice. And proactive is key, right? Because you don't want to be, by the time this happens, it's too late. So now you're calling attorneys.
Yeah.
You're rebooting the wheel inside the organization. And so
Well, yeah.
Jordan,
I mean, bad actors are using AI, right?
right. And
And
so,
we have to
A-
combat it with AI as well.
well, let's go down that path there. So Jordan, AI battling AI. How are you addressing this? Because that's what's happening, right? So these bad
Yeah.
actors have learned I've got to work faster because you got AI agents now defending the perimeter. How are you addressing this?
Yeah. Well, and to Freed's point, yes, a malicious actor will be able to now iterate in their workflows, which is doing bad things in cybersecurity. They'll be able to do that much more quickly and faster. They're going to be able to iterate. A really good analogy is that so you take a penetration tester, your basic pen tester on a red team. They'll launch a campaign, maybe let's just say social engineering or a phishing campaign or try to breach your perimeter. And then they'll collect all those findings, and they have to put it into big type of executive report. That's artifact and evidence for audit. That goes to the CISO that gets briefed. That whole function now can be given to an AI agent that puts that report together, injects it into whatever ticketing system that you have, and now remediations get done. And that allows that pen tester to get back in the fight and get back to pen testing. So it's going to be the same thing to where, again, it's a tool to free up that time. If a SOC analyst is freed up, they can now, their primary duty could potentially be in the threat intel team. And again, we want to move to be more proactive and not reactive and move to the left of the boom into the earlier stages of the kill chain. And that's how we're going to improve our security posture. And that's AI is going to empower us to make that left shift. And that way we can again attack the attackers. Again, I think I mentioned this in the last podcast. You want to fight them there, not here. We want to be as proactive as possible. Start instead of just doing a vulnerability scanning. It's going to be exploit management. How are we going to be attacked? And then let's prepare for that specific attack. And to do that, you need research, and that's where it takes that labor of the mundane, tedious tasks of responding to a lot of false positive alerts, and shifts that workforce to those more strategic functions in your cybersecurity program.
And to be functional around facilitating one, looking at alerts, putting the people in the right places. You brought in a guide point. So Craig, talk to me. You're an orchestrator of putting the right pieces of the puzzle together for Jordan, bringing the right partners around them so they can have this automation and perimeter defense. Tell me, how did you orchestrate this for Jordan? What was your path to seeing success? Because this sounds very successful for Jordan. So what's GuidePoint doing to do more of this?
I think Jordan's point earlier on automation and back in 2017, we've never really truly mastered it. And I think with AI now and what's going on, we have the opportunity to finally do real automation. Automation in itself has probably been the biggest weak point in most organizations and build, especially around the SOC. And so having tools like SOAR tools like Torque, and now having all this agentic AI capability, it's really going to drive that acceleration to automation. And we're seeing that just across all industries, all organizations right now. As you know, the AI is pretty noisy. But here, the opportunity with Jordan is really to modernize the SOC into what I'll steal Jordan's words here that he likes to share. But it's threat intelligence first. It's what he's mastered in the Army and what he's done as in his experience there and bringing that to the enterprise. He's got a really great story there, and it's just kind of accelerating that narrative that Jordan's doing over there at Banner.
That's great because I think you put together a nice narrative. This is part of his playbook now, and he had to have a great guide that could facilitate one. What are analysts doing? What do they not need to do anymore through automation? And then how do they manage these alerts? And SOX, I mean, SOX compliance, you have to have it. There's no if, answer,
Mhm.
buts about it. And so cyber defense and that defense team at Banner, what does that look like, Jordan, for you? When you say a cyber defense team tied to SOX or next gen SOX, what does that look like for Banner?
Well, speaking of a compliant, going back to what Freed mentioned earlier, there will always, even with AI agents employed throughout your entire threat model, there'll
Hmm.
always need to be that human intervention for that oversight. Because whether it's, the FRB, HIPAA, if you're finance or healthcare, you know, someone has to be accountable and liable for every decision at the end of the day, and so that's where that AI, that human intervention, that human oversight takes place. But for me, what I'm trying to do is I believe that having, again, we want to do AI before AI is done to us. We want to fight this fight on our own terms, not just for self-preservation, but again, we want to make sure that what ends up being deployed in an enterprise isn't just an executive business decision. It's actually a decision that's made by the practitioners, because that way it's actually going to be more effective, because it's built for us by us. And I think actually you're going to see more organizations actually have a dedicated AI LLM engineer that
Hmm.
is going to be assigned probably at the strategic level to your cyber defense pillar, and then their job is to go through the entire your entire defense operating model and to find out, all right, I'm now in the red team. How can AI help empower the red team? Now I'm going to go to the threat intel team. Now I'm going to go to the SOC. Now I'm going to go to the incident respond team. For example, on incident response, typically if you're an incident coordinator, or in the military call it battle captain, you would have a dedicated scribe. Well, as we have in teams now, AI will just start translating, scribe, and do everything for you. And then they'll be able to translate that into whatever your incident response report is, which now is, now evidence and as an artifact for audit or compliance
Hmm.
or, whatever. So like having those dedicated people focused on AI specifically for each team within your threat model, I think that is going to be kind of the future route to how we actually build this for us. And that's what we're actually doing at Banner.
It's a good
Let's
it's a
ask
good
this
point,
question.
actually, Mike, real quick, to harp
Uh-huh.
on that. It's one of the value add ROIs that I think is hidden in tools like Torque that a lot of people don't realize, as and just the human skill set in itself.
Yeah.
The population that's really mastered AI, I'd still say, is at a 1% level. 99% of the level, they just talk to it. They don't know how to prompt it. They don't know how to
Yeah.
use it. And so one of the values with something like Torque and Jordan Sock is giving his analysts the ability to level up their skill set to be able to use AI as a tool. So when they're doing their investigations and triage, they now have an AI,
Right.
capability to go out and find that information faster and more efficiently. It's almost like taking the manual workflow that they would do as a human and maximizing that output, 10, 20x, 30x of that value. And that to me is the real ROI right there. Is we're going to level up the SOC from that skill set to make sure everyone's kind of moving the ball forward, right? If that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
I
does.
mean, it's the barrier to entry is a lot smaller now, right? In the past, I mean, if you look at like, you know, Python coding and creating automation with Python coding and stuff like that. Um, then it moved on to drag and drop style,
Right.
building a workflow. And quite frankly, that drag and drop lasted like half a second. And then now everyone's like, I just want to prompt AI to be able to build out these automations for us, right? And so for Jordan, what his team can do is, you know, like no one joins a SOC team to be like, I want to be part of, like, I want to be a tier one analyst for the remainder of my career. No, they want to level up. So AI is helping them level up, and Torque is allowing them to create these automations with AI a lot faster. Processes change all the time. New attacks come in all the time. New things need to be incorporated all the time. And so your analyst team can be empowered to create these automations, to create new processes directly with AI.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be the connected tissue. So, for
Yeah.
example,
Right.
just first in, first out, those days are long gone because, every calorie burned is a dollar spent. We just don't have the resources to dedicate all your firefighters at all the fires. You have to
Right.
prioritize. And so, for example, the connective tissue between what the SOC alert to the threat intel team and the vulnerability management team will be AI. So, for example, a critical vulnerability, that is typically where you would spend a lot of your resources. We got to get this patched, got to get it prepared, build alerting, etc. But with all those functions now connected, we can determine this may be, with your CVS score, this may be a critical finding, but there's no current APTs right now that are exploiting it. It's not being exploited in the wild.
Yeah.
We are
Mhm.
behind several layers of defense, and your network is segmented. We have compensating controls where when you take all that contextual data and you factor that all in, this is actually a low priority, a low
Mhm.
severity.
Mhm.
Whereas it's the same thing in reverse now. Well, this is a low finding. However, though, it is being exploited in the wild. It is a common TTP for many threat actors that are
Right.
specifically targeting healthcares.
Mhm.
That's now our priority. And that is how we can allocate our resources, because we can't keep patching everything, can't keep fixing everything. And that is the false multiplier for leveling up not just your individual analysts, because now they are learning more about the overall function, not just their one lane, but the overall function of cybersecurity and enterprise.
Yeah.
But you're increasing your security posture because you're doing the right things and you're doing the right things right and intelligently. And that threat intelligence first model is driving it.
So, Fareed, we were talking about these models. What does
Mhm.
Torque offer around this mission of developing these new alerts, developing these playbook models? Because Jordan's in full swing now. He's got a team that's developed, off and running. They're automated, in their protective and proactive exercises they have to perform. How do you set up organizations? So let's give some of the secret sauce of why is Jordan so happy with Torque? Why are they running so smoothly? What's
Mhm.
happening?
Like I said, I mean, first and foremost is the you know to be able to use Torque is very, very simple, right? We have AI embedded essentially everywhere. If I look at an alert lifecycle, we take it everything from triage to investigation to even containment, all using AI, whereas the human in the loop is there to make sure that the AI is functioning well and they're making the right decisions and all that kind of stuff, right? Now, building these agents, again, it's all natural language, it's all prompt engineering, right?
Right.
There's no secret sauce to it. It's you give it the tools you want it to be able to access. So that's how you create guardrails, right? You want to give read write access to one specific tool or only read access to another one. That's how you create guardrails, right?
Mm-hmm.
And using prompt engineering, now you can correlate different tools together to create these agents. One of my favorite agents, to honestly, and I'm going to go a little deep here, but one of my favorite agents is it's what we call an interview agent. Let's just say impossible travel alert comes in, right? We want to talk to the person who logged in, say from Brazil, right? We let this agent loose on the end user, ask
Uh-huh.
the questions. Hey, are you in Brazil? Yes, I am. Are you on there on PTO? No, I'm not. Or yes, I am. Whatever the case may be, right? And then the agent, that's not the agent's only job. Then this agent's going to go to the tab off tool and check, is this person actually off? No, he's not. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go check out physical security logs. Hey, this person badged in New York City this morning. So it's correlated all that information together and it presented the evidence back to the SOC analyst and be like, hey, there's something fishy going on here, right?
And that would all have to be
An
done by the
analyst,
the
yeah,
analysts. Yeah.
all
Right.
of that would have been done by an analyst, but how
Yeah.
long would that have
Yeah.
taken?
And there's a
Whereas with
cost associated
agents,
with that.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
So that's what agents do. Agents can be deployed quickly, easily, and you don't have to wait a long time to gather all the evidence, to correlate all the data, do your SIM queries and do multiple SIM queries and correlate all that information together. Agents do that very, very quickly and very, very easily.
And with that it's really automating, right? It's been
Yeah,
automated, right? 'Cause
yeah.
you're not physically in, and we talk about these alerts, you're not physically touching a lot because these AI
Mhm.
agents are actually interceding and they're actually doing that work. The
Yeah.
analysts would normally be mired down in doing
Yeah.
on a day-to-day job. So Jordan, as we talk about the playbook, the Banner playbook, what do you think sets you apart from other organizations in how Banner addresses cyber defense along with AI?
Well, at Banner, we're embracing it. Like I said, we've actually built our own internal agentic AI model. We actually call it Banner Wise, and so we now have that internally for each organization to start using again to level up their teams and level up their programs. So our CTO is very technical and very supportive of introducing new types of technology and being very innovative and thinking outside of the box. So I think not only you have executive leadership buy-off, which is extremely important, but they're
Mhm.
buying off on the right thing. Not snake oil that's being pitched at some conference or a tweet or whatever. Like it's actually they're very technically skilled. They have the background, they have the experience, and they are empowering us at the first line leaders to actually think outside the box, be innovative, start talking to new technologies, new vendors, new companies such as Torque. Start partnering for that thought
Mhm.
leadership with GuidePoint, and really being open to kind of breaking the narrative on how cybersecurity has been done, for the past decade.
Alright, because it's advanced at hyperspeed. When
Yeah,
AI hit the scene
yeah,
for
Oh,
we
cyber
yeah.
have to move fast.
Oh, yeah.
Momentum wins the war, and we have to
we
maintain the momentum that our adversaries have because they don't have to go through, they don't have to get legal to buy off on what they plan on doing. They don't have, a formal boss or like so they can like this is probably going to work. We're going to go do it. So we have to be able to iterate
Yeah.
as quickly as they do. We have to meet the moment.
and
That's
and
excellent.
this is where Craig and his team and GuidePoint in general, these guys are the experts here as well because you know Jordan, you mentioned going to a conference. Um, you went to a conference what 2 years ago. You went to RSA and it was just like machine learning everywhere. Then
Oh yeah,
last year you
sure.
went there, it was AI everywhere.
Yeah.
This year's AI SOC everywhere. Who are the real AI players here, right? So again, that's where we've been doing AI for a very long time now, right? Um, we've been doing AI SOC, and then all these other vendors are now just like everyone's an AI SOC vendor now, right? That's where GuidePoint and his team and Craig's team is going to be able to filter out that noise for
Mhm.
Jordan to be like, these are the players that you want to actually look at.
And that's true, and you want someone that's their day-to-day job, not someone that does it every time
Hmm.
we have an incident or we're running
Hmm.
a fire drill. You want someone that lives it every day so that those steps are not forgotten, they can manage them. Jordan, when we talk about Craig here on the show with us today, what's your cadence of conversation with him as a partner and vendor in cyber defense for Banner?
Well,
What's your
definitely. Anytime we have a new threat, a new mission, a new initiative, we work with, our value added resellers such as GuidePoint. And because again, they know more in depth because I mean, I can't keep up with all the vendors to be honest, as much as I'd love to try. So that's where, we have those in the field practitioners such as Craig that, again, can weed out all, speaking of false positives, weed out all the noise from all the vendors. I only want high confident, true positive alerts in front of me. Same thing with vendors. This is what works. This is what your competitors, your peers, what is the industry doing, and
Right.
having that experience to filter all the noise that obviously makes me more efficient and helps level me up. So again, maintain that momentum and iterate quickly.
So you're down the path in your actual playbook for cyber defense. You've got partners, you've got actions, alerts, and activities that are performed, whether through automation or through your analysts that are on site. But what do you think is next? What's beyond where you are today? What comes next for Banner and your collaboration with the two partners here today? What do you see as next?
So I think again, utilizing AI to level up the SOC and then expanding on our other areas of focus. So for example, the red team.
Okay.
taking some of those analysts that have that free time to where now a primary responsibility could be threat intelligence, and that secondary is their analytic work to where they have those skill sets when there is some more in-depth investigation needs to be done. But now they're primarily focused on threat intelligence. Who are the bad guys? How do they plan on attacking us? And so really taking that shift from analytic first to threat intelligence and exposure management via the red team. So threat intel and red team are definitely going to have to level up and increase in size because again, much like no matter what, AI doesn't have disposable thumbs, like the manual labor, the skill set, the trades, AI aren't coming for those jobs. You're still going to need your plumber, your electrician, your wrench turner. And if you think about in cybersecurity, you know, threat intelligence and penetration testing is more of an art than a repeatable science, and you have to be very creative and think outside the box. And then that's where I'm going to redirect our skill sets. And again, I want to move further up to the left of the boom in the kill chain and
All
fight them
right.
over there before I'm fighting them over here in my front yard.
That's
I think
exactly right.
one analogy I'll bring up, Mike, where organizations from cyber defense has really struggled is in the human element of making the decision.
Okay.
So it's the time of getting the alert and getting that notion, but actually doing the containment decision that takes a lot of that time. And I think where AI is really going to help a lot of that is give the human now more information to make a swifter decision. So when we want to go shut down a network or disable 30 Active Directory accounts or do this or so that, Jordan's team will have the appropriate information now because just without AI, we're not good enough to get that type of data and we would stall on that decision making. So I see the time to make the decision to remediate and knock that incident down would be a huge value add that we just don't see as maturity today. I think that's a future benefit here that's going to be showcasing with
I mean,
some of the AI stuff.
you're 100% right, Craig. I think, Jordan, you're moving down for my side of the business. We call it a maturity model, right? Crawl, walk, run, fly. And then once you get there, you're going to teleport like you're on Star Trek. So how do you move through all of these conditions of maturity with the team that you have? Are you retooling them? Are you retraining them? What's next? Let's close today with how are you
Yeah.
preparing your team for what's next?
It's going to be a combination of both. Like I said, I'm retooling by partnering with companies like Torque to make sure that we have the smartest and best agents deployed. Re-educating, building up that workforce. Like I said, of having dedicated AI and LLM engineers that are going to be working in each element of my operating threat model. Um, and then trying to maintain that momentum and really put again double down on intelligence first, have that leading where we direct our resources next.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining me on the show today to take us through cyber defense and cyber defenders with AI, because I think this topic is moving as fast as AI is through every company that says they have AI. And I think if you don't have partners like Jordan, what you picked up here in GuidePoint and Torque, there's a much bigger hurdle and maturity model to grow and develop. So again, thank you for joining me on the show today. We look forward to hearing more from you as we get through these series. Guide Points brought these series to you as a listener of the Buzz Podcast in conjunction with Arizona HIMSS to provide listeners around the central and western region of the U.S. with these thought leadership sessions. So again, find the Buzz Podcast on your streaming channel or thebuzzpodcast.net. And I'm Mike Mosquito, along with Banner Health, GuidePoint, and Torque, along with Arizona HIMSS.